I met a scientist in America in 1997 who worked for the CIA, and he asked to see me to tell me what he knew was going on, and he couldn't, because he couldn't speak publicly about it. And he told me the story that he joined the CIA thinking he was serving his country, because the way they compartmentalize knowledge, most of the people working for these organizations are not trying to manipulate anybody, but they're being manipulated themselves to push the world in a certain direction. They don't even know they're doing it. And he said that when he got into the CIA, and he was an expert in the area of magnetics, he realized that this agenda that I've been writing about was going on. He hadn't read my stuff before, but he saw from the inside what the game was, and then read my stuff and realized that what I was saying matched what he was experiencing. So he arranged this meeting through a third party. And I said to him, first of all, why do you do it if you're so against it? And he opened his shirt, and on his shirt was this like see-through shampoo sachet, and inside was like an orangey golden liquid, and it was stuck to his chest. He said, this is why. He said that when he realized what he was being used for and what he was being asked to do, he rebelled and refused to do it. And then at that time, he remembers leaving his house, and he remembers nothing else. The next thing he remembers is waking up in a room on a table-type bed bench that you see in like the doctor's office. And as he woke up and got his mind back, he felt something on his chest, and when he looked, there was this thing. And they call these things in the CIA patches. Someone's been patched. And what it is, they manipulate these people to need this drug to survive, and if the drug is then not replaced, they start to die a very agonizing death. And he knows that, because even after he was patched, he rebelled again, and they didn't repatch him, and he felt the consequences until they put the patch back, when he agreed, okay, I'll work for you. And these patches have to be replaced every 72 hours, and if he doesn't use his genius, and he told me that there are enormous numbers of scientists in the underground secret projects and bases in America, and I guess worldwide, who are patched for this reason. If they don't use their genius and knowledge to advance the agenda, then they're not repatched, and they die. And this is how they orchestrate it. Now, the reason I tell you this story is about microchips is because this scientist said to me, this man, first of all, the cure for cancer is well known. He said, I got cancer, and they wanted to keep me alive for obvious reasons, so I could continue my work for them. He said, and they gave me a serum, as he called it. He was injected with this serum, cancer disappeared. Secondly, they have the technology, which he helped to develop, which would create abundant growth in deserts without water. What they do, every living thing, including humans obviously, have an electromagnetic field. We call it the auric field. And if you stimulate this field in a certain way, he said the plants grow so fast, it's like a time-lapse photograph, watching it sometimes. And the third thing he said is that if people say no to just one thing in this whole agenda, say no to the microchip. Because he told me many things which have proved to be correct. First of all, in 1997, he said, people think of microchips like that. He said, outside the public arena, he said, they are so small, they can be inserted by a hypodermic needle in a vaccination program. And people in those days weren't talking about nanotechnology, but now we can see that's true. The other thing he said was, even those that are looking at the microchip and seeing that, hey, there's a conspiracy here, they're thinking only in terms of electronic tagging, so the computer knows where everyone is. And on one level, that's true. But he said the real reason for the microchips is just as you have now this movement towards what they call human-computer interface, where the human brain can work a computer without touching any keys. They can do that because the human body is, in fact, a very, very staggeringly advanced computer. And so when they're dealing with computer human interface, they're actually connecting two computers, one extraordinarily more advanced and complex than the other, obviously. So he said that when they get a microchip inside you, basically they're chipping a computer in the sense that they're operating. And therefore they can manipulate the computer electrically, electromagnetically and chemically from a distance to manipulate people mentally, emotionally and physically. So once you get one of these chips inside you, they can take you out from a distance. They can destabilize your body so you get illnesses which take you out or make your life more difficult. They can manipulate you emotionally so that you become aggressive or docile and subservient, and they can manipulate your thoughts. So, because on one level, of course, when you have a thought, it's an electrical sequence that happens, thought waves, electrical pulses. If they can get into your brain at that electrical level, they can put thoughts into your mind which you are having that you think are your own thoughts, when in fact they're being externally implanted through the chip. In fact, I read a lot of material in the 90s about Russian experiments, or Soviet experiments as they were, during the Cold War, about their experiments in external manipulation of the mind through technology. And they were doing things. I remember one example that was in one of these documents. They would fire thought waves at gardeners who were working in these big kind of mansion country places that this research was going on. And they would fire thought waves which said things like, put down your tools and come in and go in and have a cup of tea. And they would watch and they would wait. And within less than a minute, these people were having a discussion, putting their tools down and walking in to have a cup of tea. And those people, they were working on the garden, and they thought, I'll tell you what, guys, let's go and have a cup of tea. Let's have a break. And this is what they can do, because they understand the computer nature of the physical body and how you can access it. And the chip is the jewel in the crown of this whole thing. Because as this scientist said, if you say no to just one thing, say no to the chip, because once you've done that, they have external access to your body systems. And what they're doing is now introducing chipping around the world for various ways. That they got people used to it by chipping domestic animals. So then it becomes part of society, chipping. They're talking about, in Britain, chipping prisoners so that they can let them out of jail. There's Mexican officials in the government who are chipped so that if they're abducted, that they can be found. They're now saying to parents, if your children were microchipped, you'd always know where they were. They could always be found. And all these different excuses that are being used, and it's a cover for this control that this scientist told me about over 10 years ago.